Hey, what's up everybody? This is OurMusicBox and today I want to show you guys one of the best boss killing builds for Amara in Mayhem 4. Now, I've done a version of this build in the past because this build has been known probably since a few weeks after the game came out, but like most other classes, after the Maliwan raid came out with some of the new anointed, this build just got quite a bit stronger. Now this build is also kind of a high-end build. It has quite a bit of gear requirements to make it actually work. So if you guys Venmo me $10, I'll give you guys a save file. That was a joke. You guys can get the save file in the description. This is probably one of my builds that is closest to being perfect out of all of my builds, just because of some of the luck I've gotten with some of the anointed roles. So with that, let's go into the talents. So this is a melee focused build. So past that, the talents are kind of self-explanatory. We go 5/5 root to rise for max HP, 3 into personal space, increases damage at close yard to the target, 5 into arm seal. We're mainly wanting this for splash damage. This does increase the damage, and you'll see why when we get into the items. 1 into helping hands just to get lower in the tree and for some damage reduction. 1 into find your center. After you use your action skill, you gain 100% melee damage. We also have 1 from our class mod, which gives us 200% massive damage increase. 5 into 1 with nature, which is max HP, elemental damage reduction. 5 in a jab cross. After you hit someone with melee damage, you gain increased gun damage and action skill damage. Mainly is for the gun damage. Then blitz, which is mainly for the melee damage increase. Next, we're going into Fist of the Elements because you pretty much just need to get to Illuminated Fist, which the only thing we're using about this is melee damage increase. 5 in Anima, just to get lower on the tree mainly, then 5 in a Tempest for extra elemental damage. Then Mythical Assault Tree. We did 1 into Violent Tapestry, 1 into Do Harm, mainly just to have them get lower in the tree. 3 into Fast Hands for reload speed and weapon swap speed, which actually is useful. We mainly want to get to Transcend in this because after you use your action skill, you gain accuracy, which does help a little bit, and then critical hit damage, which is a pretty big buff. Then 3 into Restless for some action skill cooldown. And that's pretty much all for the talent. Because some of the anointeds are based on Phase Slam, they're kind of needed for this build to function correctly. We're using Phase Slam. The action skill element really doesn't matter in this build, and the augment to the action skill really doesn't matter. I just use a lure, so if there's like ads next to me, I can pull them in and try to kill them more quickly. Really isn't that useful since we're mainly focusing on bosses. So the reason we're going into a lot of this is because this build is focused on melee, but it is using the Face Puncher. If you don't know what this does, basically it's a shotgun, and every pellet is considered a melee attack. And you can get a redundant Face Puncher, which is times 14, so it doubles the pellets from times 7, which makes it pretty much 14 melee attacks, not in the damage, but in proccing our artifact, which is one of the most important parts of this build. So this is the White Elephant artifact, and what that does is melee attacks have a 30% chance to attach a sticky bomb. Now these sticky bombs can be any element, and their damage is based off your melee attacks. They can also get imbue melee with some type of element. I think you can get every element, but mine's cryo, so it adds 80% cryo damage to my melee attacks, and this does work with the Face Puncher. So we can test on the target dummy. So Face Puncher is considered melee, but since it's times 14 melee, you'll apply multiple stickies to the target. So as you see, we'll shoot in a shot, and that was what, 4 stickies I think, and they'll all be a random element. And then it'll also proc different elements depending on if you have, say, on action skill end, gain a random elemental effect for 10 seconds on your grenade mod. So this will proc it. This also goes off your melee damage. And since we have the after Face Slam weapon damage increased by 300%, this affects not only the Face Puncher's initial attacks, but also the sticky bombs from our artifact. So we can test that right here. So as you'll see, we do 13k with a cryo attack. This adds cryo, and then it basically is doing just as much as the Face Puncher itself. So it does basically 13k times 2, and then it does the stickies. Now, if we do our Face Slam, that does a lot more. It did like 61k for the initial hit. Then the corrosive is from our grenade mod anointed. And then it just affects the damage of the sticky explosions as well. So we crit there. That just did over 100k from the explosions from the sticky. Also, with this weapon damage increase, this does stack with the melee damage increase on Brawler Ward. Now, I know there is an anointed that increases your melee damage by 200% on Face Slam. The same anointed you can get in the shield, you can get on weapons. Now, I'm not certain if those stack. If the two melee damage increasers stack, I know that the weapon damage and the melee damage, having them like this, they do stack. They both themselves do increase your damage, and both of them together will stack and give you increased damage. So you definitely want both of those. I'm not certain if the two, if having like a 200% on the redundant face puncher would stack with the 200% on the shield. Not certain, but this would also do more damage anyway. So take that into consideration. I've tested though, these two anointeds together do stack. This is also probably one of the best rolled items I have in the entire game, because this is absolutely a god rolled item. This is pretty much the best you can get for this build. A Brawler Ward with a 300% melee damage increase while depleted, and then the melee damage on Face Slam. This is a pretty nuts shield. Now, this build does use crit swapping quite a bit. So with that, basically you would apply all of your stickies to the target, you would switch to this, and then gain the 432% critical damage increase. Now, this is the best rolled critical damage increase you can get on an Unforgiven. That's the highest it'll go. So that's pretty much all you need. You're not really using the trick Unforgiven for anything else, so it doesn't matter if it's anointed or anything like that. You just want to get the highest critical damage increase on this you can. And that's pretty much the only two weapons you're using. So that is nice. So you only need two weapons, even though, you know, you're redundant face puncher, you kind of want that Face Slam anointed, and a lot of the other items are kind of high roll items. Now, for our class mod, we want this specific class mod, the Solitary Breaker. Now, the effect on it really don't need. It does give you damage reduction the closer you are to the target, but the main thing you want in the class mod is getting the capstone roll for the Find Your Center, because that's another 100% damage increase. And also, I've seen some Reddit articles in the past that say personal space and jab cross. I don't remember which it was. I've seen ones that say jab cross doesn't work. I've seen ones that say personal space doesn't work with this build. I tested both. They both do increase your damage. They both will increase your damage while using the face puncher. This one, jab cross, for how much it gives isn't really worth, but it gets you lower to get blitz. Personal space does work as well, and it's a pretty decent damage increase. Now for our grenade, as I was talking about, you pretty much just want a grenade with on axis go end to gain whatever elemental damage. You can get all the rolls, because this will actually increase or give that proc on the initial hits of the face puncher. So as you see here, no corrosive damage. When you proc this, corrosive damage, and then when the stickies explode, it does add that guaranteed corrosive damage on it as well. So that's really good, and just have whatever element you want. So I have grenades for different elements. So I have shock here. If I was going against Traunt, I would switch this on. If I was going against something else, I'd switch to a different element. Like Agonizer, I'd switch on to have the corrosive. And that's pretty much all of the items. Now, like I said, this is a more high roll build. So the save file, if you're on PC, sorry console, I don't know how to actually share save files between console and PC, but if you're on PC, you can go download this if you want to test it out, or you just don't want to farm, you know, these like high rolled items and spend dozens of hours trying to farm good rolls like this. So that's pretty much the entire build. Subscribe if you want to see more Borderlands content. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about this build. If you guys have any questions about how this build works, or to get any of these items for this build, leave it in the comments. I'll try to reply to everybody. And thanks for watching.